So in this video, we're going to find the equation of a line that goes to 2 points, and then find the points where this line intersects each of the coordinate planes. So that means the planes z equals 0, which is the xy plane, x equals 0, and y equals 0. So 3 different planes. We'll show a picture of those in a bit. So first, we have this equation that we saw before in the previous video, if you saw it, that the equation of a line is given parametrically by L of t equals p plus tv, where p is a point on the line and v is a direction of the line. So I have a p, it could be either of these 2 points, you can use either one of them. But then who is going to be the v, right? So the v is the direction of the line. So if I just make a little bit of a picture over here, it's not really important that it's accurate. But if I have, say I have my coordinate system, I have my 2 points, pretend that's P, pretend that's my point P, and that's my point Q, let's put it somewhere over here. Again, it doesn't matter if it's accurate or not. I'm thinking about this line, right? The line I'm thinking about is this line. So, and we said that the equation is P plus TV, where V is a direction, and I can pick V to be the vector that connects P and Q, right? So if I do, for example, Q minus P to be my vector B, I would get, this is my point Q. So Q minus P, I would get 3 minus 1 is a 2, 3 minus 2 is a 1, and 6 minus 5 is a 1. So I get the 2, 1, 1, right? And then my equation of the line that I'm looking for is really L of t equals the P, which I'm going to use the first point, 1, 2, 5, plus T times the 2, 1, 1. So now something important here is that I did Q minus P, which is this. It didn't matter if I do Q minus P or P minus Q. One would have been this vector. The other one would have been in the other direction. And it doesn't matter, right? So in this case, it doesn't matter in which order I pick them. It's going to be the same line. In this situation, it doesn't matter. For some instances, maybe it is going to be important to take the order in which we want the Q minus P or P minus Q. But for this scenario, all we care is to give the direction. Okay, so now what I want to do now is, once I have the equation, I want to find, so let me write like 1 plus 2t, comma, 2 plus t, and 5 plus t. It's hard to put your t's and your pluses different. Okay, so now I'm going to find where it intersects each of the coordinate planes. So the first one I'm going to do is just find where it intersects the when x equals 0, which is a yz plane, right? So I'm going to say where it crosses this plane over here. So this is my x. So when x equals 0, that's this plane. So this line will maybe cross that plane, right? It might not pass it. This one will. I mean, one of these, since none of these are parallel to the planes, they should cross all 3 coordinate planes. So okay, so let's do when x is 0, and that will give me, right, I'm setting the x coordinate to be 0. That will tell me when does it cross this plane, the yz plane. So that means that I really need, for this to happen, I need this component, 1 plus 2t equals 0. So remember that what we're looking for here is kind of, we can think of what is the t that would make the x component to be 0. So kind of like, what is the value of t? Or the other way to think about it, if we, like we said before in my previous video, if you think of t like a time in seconds in which a particle is moving, you're looking for the time in second for which, at which if you plug in that value, this would be at the x would be 0. So t gives you what? Negative 1/2, correct? Subtract the 1, divided by 2. So at time equals negative 1/2, which doesn't make sense if you really think of it like time, but just a point of reference, it could be back in time. So that means that L of negative 1/2 is the point that we're looking for, because the x is 0 there. Now you plug it in here. So when t is negative 1/2, you get 3/2. I then plug in a negative 1/2 in this value, so it's 10/2 minus 1/2, so 9/2. Right, so that's the point where it crosses the XY plane. Sorry, the YZ plane. Now let's do where it crosses, for example, this one. So in this plane over here would be when the y is 0, right? This is my y-axis. So this is a plane where y is 0. And now I'm setting this term equal to 0, right? And for that, I'm looking for y equals 0. So I'm looking for 2 plus t equals 0, which is t equals negative 2. So for that value of t, if I plug it into the equation, so if I grab my equation from here, right, and you're finding L of negative 2 is 1 plus negative 4, so I get a negative 3. The middle point, of course, is a 0, that's what I said, and then when t is negative 2, you get a 3. So that's the point for where it crosses the second coordinate plane. And now the last one I'm looking for is now where does it cross the floor, right? So when z equals 0, where does it cross that plane? So now I set z equals 0. And what that means is now I need this coordinate here, this component here, 5 plus t to be 0. So I need 5 plus t to be 0, which means t would be negative 5. And now you could use that in the equation, L of negative 5. So I lost track of my equation, so it's going to be a mess, but let me try to copy it here so we can have it all in the same window. I'll copy, and I'll paste it and put it somewhere over here. And grab a lot of garbage, but it's okay. So now all we need to do is plug in a negative 5 in that one. So 1, and I'm going to give minus 10, so I get a negative 9 here. Then I get 2 plus a negative 5, you get a negative 3. And this is, of course, a 0. So those are my points. Okay, 0, 1.5, and 4.5, negative 3, 0, 3, and negative 9, negative 3, 0. So let me just check that these things work. Okay, I mean, we live in 2020 when I'm doing this video, so it doesn't make sense to just believe that we did it. I mean, we can see the math that it did it right, but we have these tools to see things happening. So I'm going to graph it here in Geogebra. So my plane, my equation of the line that we got was, I have it written over here so I can see it. It's 1 plus 2t. So here I can really write just 1 plus 2t. The t is hidden, I believe, under here. And then I put a comma, and I go back to this, and the other one is 2 plus t. And the third one component was 5 plus t. So this is Geogebra. It's an app that you can download for free. You can also have a browser setting if you're doing a computer. So you see I copied it right. 1 plus 2t, 2 plus t, and 5 plus t. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the plane. So let's just put, if I want to set the planes, I can write, the first plane I did was x equals 0. So we can really just write, x equals 0. So that's the plane that I'm looking for. And I want to find that point where this intersects. So what I'm going to do to see that it goes to the point that I'm thinking of, well, I can just type the point, right? I can plot the point, and for that, all I need to do is to write in parentheses the point, which I found, which was the 0, 3 halves. So 3 divided by 2, or 1.5. Oh, I didn't put the comma, I believe. 0, 1.5, comma, and it was 4.5. So that's the point, and you see that's the point where my point A is exactly on the plane, and the line goes through it. So I'm going to find a point where it crosses the other planes. Okay, just so very quickly. So I'm going to put the plane y equals 0 now, and now I'm going to do the point that I found for that one, which was the negative 3, 0, positive 3. Okay, so that's my second point, and that's my second plane. Maybe I should erase the other one, but you can see it here in this perspective. You can see that it crosses through that plane, right? So there you go, the A and the B. And now what I'm going to do now is do this third plane, which is z equals 0. And I'm going to plot the other point that I found, which is a point negative 9, comma, negative 3, comma, 0. So this point is out of my window, I believe, negative 9, negative 3, 0. But if I just zoom out, you'll see, oh, right. It's out of this window, but it's over here at my point C. So I need to zoom out, and it's right there. So there you go. It's the right place to see it. I have too many planes going on here. There you go. That's the plane to see it right there. Let me erase. Maybe I should cross the other planes. How many planes going on here? There you go. So that's only that plane, and then we see it. That's where it crosses the plane. Okay. So we don't have to pretend that these things do not exist. We can check our work and see how everything works in these days. Okay. Thanks for watching.